In this world, there is real evil. In the darkest shadows and in the most ordinary places. These are the true stories of the innocent and the unimaginable. For Romy Holguin, this is the beginning of a trial of sanity. A dark entity attacks her in her own home. With the help of paranormal investigators, she discovers a gateway inside her house and another one inside her mind. Between the world we see and the things we fear, there are doors. When they are opened, nightmares become reality. Nearly a century before Tucson, Arizona became part of the United States, Spanish missionaries came looking for souls to convert. Today, their influences are still felt here. Proof that the past is never completely dead and buried. Romy Holguin and her husband Fernando are at a crossroads in their lives. Romy is between jobs, and Fernando is recently retired from the military. They have 4 children and are staying at Romy's mother's house while they search for a new home. One day, they decide to explore a new neighborhood. Romy senses that she is being pulled towards something.
I noticed this house that had like overgrown weeds that was very run down. I said, I want to look at that house.
Fernando? What do you think?
He said, no, you're crazy. I don't want to have anything to do with that.
Honey, we'll fix that.
I don't see why anybody else would want a house the way it was when we first, saw it.
Honey, look beyond what you see now. But I want this house.
What's so special about this house?
For whatever reason, I was just drawn to it.
The couple talks to neighbors, hoping to find out who owns the house. They learn that it is abandoned. No one ever stays there very long. That night, Romy begins making calls to locate the owner. For some reason, she is obsessed with the prospect of buying the abandoned house.
Honey, why don't you just drop it? Just drop it.
We've saved some money.
Most people, they don't go look for the most rundown house that they can find and say, I'm going to fix this up, because that takes a lot of time and a lot of money. I had young children, and I wanted to move out of my mother's house as soon as possible.
Nightmare has haunted Romy since childhood.
I was really scared that I kept having it, and that I didn't understand why I kept having it. I thought it was kind of trying to give me a message, and if I didn't understand, that I was going to keep having it.
Romy eventually tracks down the owner of the house and makes a deal.
Honey, we can get the house. I've gone over my bills.
You really want this?
Yes. My brother's ready to start the
Her
construction.
brother was a carpenter, so he said, yeah, it's a doable thing. So that's what made us, decide to go ahead and get it.
Okay.
After months of renovations, the Holguin family moves into their new home. Romy and Fernando's children are glad to finally have their own space.
Guys, check your boxes. Make sure everything's inside.
Everything's here.
Did you open the inside? Everything's in there?
Yeah, everything's in here.
So yo.
Honey, you're scared me. Don't
sorry.
do that.
I'm sorry.
After nightfall, several members of the family are awakened by faint noises. Veronica and Angelica think they hear their brothers talking at the other end of the hall.
Can you hear? What are you doing? I'm not doing anything. I'm back here.
I look behind me and she's standing behind me and I'm thinking, oh no. What's in the bathroom? We just ran back to our room and just thought there's something weird about this place.
2 nights later,
I could sense that someone was there.
Romy decides to check on her children.
They were sleeping. They were sound asleep.
I feel sorry for you.
I didn't want to tell anyone
Morning, honey. How are you? Good. Is anything wrong?
because I didn't want them to think I was crazy.
I'm just so tired today.
Take some coffee, okay?
So I kind of kept it to myself.
I don't really like it.
I always kept thinking maybe there is an explanation for it.
Is that good?
A few nights later,
paralyzed.
Romy begins to doubt her own sanity. She assumes that the things she sees are all in her mind. One day, Romy and her sister bring food to an elderly shut-in.
Bien. Aquí está su sopa. Oh, muchas gracias. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you. Gracias.
Buenos días, Mr. Gomez.
Hola. There's a black spirit in your house.
The moment that he shook my hand,
I'm sorry.
he said, "There's a spirit that lives in your house."
Please, sit down. Please.
I don't even know him and never had seen him or anything.
The man says that he is a clairvoyant.
Usted ha tenido estar viendo
He tells
un hombre
Romy not to be scared and suggests that she follow the dark spirit to find out what it wants.
Have you followed him?
I said, "No, I don't care what he wants. I don't want to go there."
Be careful. There's a gateway at your house. All the bad spirits might come through it. So please be careful.
Romy hopes that if she ignores the spirit, it won't come back. Something supernatural attacks Romy Holguin in her own bedroom.
Fernando, wake up! Fernando, wake up!
I was just so scared. I felt as if though dead people were trying to contact me. I had an uncle that would always say, "You should never fear the dead. It's the live ones that'll, hurt you." But I beg to differ.
Fernando tries to be supportive, but he is unsure what to believe.
It was kind of hard because there was really nothing I could do other than just listen to her and try to comfort her.
I said, "That's it. We've got to stay in the living room." So we stayed in there for a long time, where it was a ritual for the kids.
I'll get our pillows.
There you go, guys.
I just felt better if we were all together. I just felt that I could protect them. One night we were settling in the living room, and my son says to me,
Mom,
Yeah?
I know why you want us to sleep in the living room.
What are you talking about, baby?
Because of the man in black.
when he said that to me, I literally started crying and felt really ill.
Come on, baby.
If I saw it, it was okay, but I didn't want anything to happen to them.
So far, the children don't seem frightened.
Man in black, I can't take a chance. You're scared.
But Romy cannot ignore the likelihood that her house is haunted.
Every single day.
Told my wife that if she was that scared, that we should just, sell the house and move.
This is our home.
I know, but after this, no.
But she told me that she would never sell the house.
Fernando, we are not moving out of this house.
We have to move out of this after this.
Romy believes that she alone is the target of whatever haunts the place.
We are not leaving.
You're scared yourself.
The family cannot afford to move,
Think about it last time.
so she decides to silently endure her restless nights as long as her children remain safe.
Romy's very, very strong-minded, strong-willed, and she never showed like she was really scared, but I think that was so that the children wouldn't be scared themselves.
I knew there was something here, but I really didn't think there was anything that could harm us.
Soon after, Romy feels something tugging on her as she sleeps.
She woke up and, told me that she had a really bad dream.
Maybe this last night.
I said, I mustn't have been feeling so well last night.
No, something's not right.
I just felt like I kept moving. He said, you did. You ended up almost in the middle of the bed, and you were very, very restless.
I was on my way to work, so, I left it at that.
I had teeth marks along the back side of my arm. It scared me so horribly. All I could think of was getting out of there as fast as I could.
Romy drives to work, unable to comprehend what's happened to her.
Joyce.
For her own sanity, she needs someone to verify that the bite marks are real.
So much more that we can see. What's wrong? Look at it.
Oh my God.
You're the first one who believes me.
Of course I believe you. Look at that.
You see that?
Later that night, Romy shows the marks to her husband.
Fernando, look at this.
The bite mark was really big.
Something attacked me in the middle of the night.
You could still see him, and that was maybe about 8-9 hours later.
We're leaving this house.
That was when he first realized that this is something that's really serious, that it really is real.
We gotta leave this house.
Once again, the family sleeps in the living room. They continue to do this for the next 6 months. Early one morning,
I got that feeling that this man in black was warning me that something was wrong.
What's wrong?
I have to go.
Romy senses that her elderly aunt, who has been hospitalized for several weeks, is in trouble.
Honey, I have to go.
She immediately leaves to check on her.
Aunt Nina?
Why you take so long?
She told me, where have you been? What took you so long? She said, I've been calling you since really early this morning. And when she told me that, it sent chills up and down my back. Within an hour, she actually died.
The death of her aunt horrifies Romy. She fears this is a sign from the dark spirit that haunts her house. But is it a warning or a threat?
So what can you tell me exactly about the previous owners?
One afternoon, when a neighbor comes to visit, Romy learns the details of the house's sordid past.
What happened?
This house does not have a good history. His father's gone.
A younger teen, maybe age 15, had actually shot himself. No. The father came home and found him shot
His father and his son, they lived here.
and then hung himself.
Here?
I think it was a couple of years.
For the first time, Romy has a possible explanation for the things she's seen.
Had a lot of trouble at school. Kids pick on him.
I was afraid that history might repeat itself. That's what scared me.
Romy experiences nothing unusual for several months.
The room went ice cold. I could feel like a swirl of ice cold. They're just going around me. I could almost hear the wind.
Romy. 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 Jesus. You hear me? Get out of my house! Do you hear me? Get out of my house!
The only thing I told her was that she was having a really bad dream, but I didn't tell her about what had happened because I didn't want to scare her any more than she was already.
Are you okay? It's okay.
Finally, Romy and Fernando decide to ask for help. They ask Kenneth Moreland, the deacon from their local congregation, to bless the house.
We have a lovely home here.
In the blessing of the home, we're actually asking God to be present in that home and to make that home a sacred space.
What we'll do is say some prayers together.
The couple explains that the house has a troubling history.
Previous owners that lived in this house.
They fear that something evil is haunting them.
The Catholic Church's position on things like this is that we know that evil exists in the world. We don't, as humans, totally understand the realm of that spiritual life, whatever it is that's out there.
We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Go to bed.
Okay.
Okay.
Right after the deacon left, I felt at peace and I felt like finally, this is it. It was just starting to get dark. I started to feel like something was horribly wrong. I don't know if whatever the deacon did just made them stronger at that moment. Who knows? It was so frightening.
One story where Jesus was approaching a cemetery, and a man came out of the cemetery, and he supposedly had a legion of devils in him, meaning many, many devils. And they begged Jesus to leave and to leave them alone. And I feel that's exactly what was happening in Romy's situation. We had taken goodness into Romy's home and asked for the presence of God to be there. And whatever that presence was that was there, didn't like that.
Fernando returns home from work late that night and finds that Romy has returned to sleeping in the living room.
Hi, baby. How are you doing? Good. How are you?
Good. Just good. I'm tired. Everything okay since we had the house buzzed?
Yes. It's quiet, actually.
Years pass. Romy's children grow up. And Romy herself becomes a grandmother. Her frightening encounters have become less frequent. She and Fernando remain in the house.
Alec, here's your lunch, baby.
She takes care of her grandson, Alec, while his mother, Veronica, is at work.
Michael don't want me to eat this.
Alec begins speaking to an imaginary friend in Romy's house.
Alec, honey, who's Michael?
Is it a boy with you?
He calls his friend Michael and claims that Michael sometimes tells him what to do.
I kept thinking that maybe he was just making it up.
Michael want me to go upstairs.
As the months went on, he interacted with it so much that I had to come to the conclusion that he was actually interacting with an entity.
Veronica, I'm concerned.
What about?
I'm a little
Romy tells her daughter that she believes something might be exerting an unnatural influence on Alec.
Mom, don't worry about it. All kids have imaginary friends.
Veronica.
I really didn't think about him being harmed, but I just kind of thought of, what in the world are people going to think of our family? First my mom sees things, and then here my son's starting to see them also.
Veronica takes her son home and learns that he is frightened of his new friend.
Mom, I'm scared.
He didn't want the door closed. He didn't want to be in any room alone.
There's nothing to be afraid of. Just turn the light on.
I didn't know if he was, scared of what normal kids are scared of. Something in his closet, something under his bed, or if there was actually something in there that could harm him.
There's no one.
Because he's my kid, I'd like to just put him in a little glass box and make sure nothing bad ever happens to him. But it's not something that I can control.
A week later, Alec again visits his grandparents.
We're doing a remodeling, and we were upstairs. I was with my grandson, and we were coming back down the stairs. All of a sudden, it just went tumbling. Okay? And then he just turned back and looked at me and said, Tata, why did you push me? And I said, no, I didn't push you.
Stairs, you okay? He said, well, we were coming down the stairs. You feel okay? And all of a sudden, Alec's shoulder went forward, like he had been literally pushed from his back.
Alec escapes with only minor bruises. But it's clear to Romy, the dark spirit is back.
Yes, hi, is this Amy Allen?
After her grandson is pushed down the stairs by an unseen force, Romy takes action.
I couldn't handle myself being attacked, but now my grandkids were involved.
Romy contacts a professional paranormal investigator who she heard on a local radio program. Investigator Amy Allen visits Romy's house.
Her case was very intriguing. It was kind of a state of emergency because people were getting hurt.
I feel something here.
The first thing Amy notices are nearby radio and TV towers, which emit high levels of electromagnetic energy. Parapsychologists have suggested that this can cause hallucinations. Amy conducts her investigations with the help of paranormal sensitives.
Hey, Teresa. Hey, Amy. How you doing? I'm good.
Sensitives experience the spirit world in various ways.
I tell you a whole lot. You won't even really...
Some experience it visually.
I want to see what kind of feeling. Okay. You want to get started? Yeah.
Others through emotion. A technician brings equipment to measure energy in the house.
All right, Teresa, this is the living room. See how you feel about this room and then maybe head upstairs.
You guys can help us.
I wanted one of three things to happen. For them to prove and hope that I was crazy,
You know what?
or that they would get rid of whatever was there,
You guys would wait outside.
and thirdly, that it wouldn't harm my grandson.
No, what would be best? If you guys can wait outside.
Amy asks Romy and Fernando not to speak with the sensitives about the case.
You know what? I need you to get some readings. I'm getting some strong vibes.
They must approach their investigation without any preconceptions.
The readings are really high.
We're very scientific and we want only the facts, and we have to control this as much as possible.
Yeah, your readings are abnormally high.
The team takes baseline energy readings using an electromagnetic frequency meter. This will provide a point of comparison for detecting energy fluctuations during the investigation. Teresa has the ability to sense the presence of spirits and their emotions. Teresa detects an unnatural presence.
She couldn't really make any kind of direct contact with him or get a story off of him.
Teresa leaves. A second sensitive, Rosalinda, arrives to investigate using a different type of extrasensory perception.
Rosalinda's a psychic knower, which means that she sees pictures in her mind's eye.
Something really, really bad.
She'll actually see like movies playing in her mind. What she was seeing was Romy. Because the environment there is so high with the electromagnetic field, it's actually absorbing living energy and then playing it back. So even though Romy and her husband are still alive, they're already being absorbed into their walls of their home and being played back.
Rosalinda senses the presence of a dark entity.
She tried to leave the room and saw in her mind it saying, "Go ahead and try to get rid of me. Go ahead, I dare you."
Paranormal investigators are convinced that a dangerous entity has invaded Romy's home. The investigators plan to spend the night there to gather more information. While the investigators set up in another part of the house, Romy suffers through a particularly restless night.
All of a sudden, I started to get really anxious. I felt like the room was full of people.
You have to get out of here. There are too many people here with us.
In the house?
No, in this room.
I got up like really desperate. My husband said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I have to leave. I feel like there's a bunch of people in here with me. I just have to get out of here."
Honey, honey, honey. Please.
The next morning, the sensitives share their experiences with Romy, Fernando, and paranormal investigator Amy Allen.
I think Romy has some sort of psychic ability.
What we are looking for is a correlation between the different types of sensitives.
Yesterday, when I was touring the house, I felt a very dark presence in the bedroom, but it was a very strong presence. I had the same experience too, except
Teresa and Rosalinda both describe encounters with a dark figure.
I saw very dark images.
Romy confesses that she has been seeing the same thing for years.
We did so.
When Amy hears this, she theorizes that Romy herself is sensitive to the spirit world.
She said to me, "I don't know how you live here." She explained that there was portals in the house, 2 of them to be exact, that were like a doorway to the other side.
Spirits that you're hearing are coming and entering through those portals.
That is something that you will find with people who are sensitive, that they may have some kind of vortex or a doorway for the dead. Basically what happens is they're attracted to the sensitive that resides in that location, and this doorway is formed so they can try to make contact with the sensitive that's living there.
So I think that the spirits that you're hearing coming and going and the voices are actually
Now,
spirits coming.
I felt like it was all turned around. Not only did I have problems with my grandbaby dealing with this and myself dealing with this and the house being haunted, now I had one extra thing to deal with.
We just need to really go over our data some more.
Your own personal strength can get rid of all these spirits and ghosts in here, okay? So I'm gonna show you how to
Rosalinda
burn
shows
the
Romy
sage.
how to perform a
You're gonna
ritual
break off some
cleansing of the
sage
house.
and put it in this dish. And you're gonna burn it and just wait.
She burns sage and sprinkles holy water around windows and doorways.
So Romy could also take on a sense of being proactive in the situation and taking care of what was going on and gaining some control herself.
Amy Allen hopes that this will help purify the environment by getting rid of negative energy. But she knows they'll have to do more research to put an end to the haunting.
Repeat what she taught you with the sage.
We don't say we have a definite conclusion. We can't do that until we've gone over all of the data. People think that when they have investigators come to the home, this person's gonna solve all of my problems right here, right now, today. And unfortunately, that's not how this works.
Amy Allen goes home to study her data. She must consider many possibilities before taking action. Is the dark figure the spirit of a deceased human? Or something else? A few weeks after the initial visit, Amy Allen returns to Romy's house to perform her own meditative cleansing. She sets up in Romy's bedroom where the most violent events have taken place.
I wanted to see, can I do anything spiritually about this situation? I'm a physical medium, which means that I make contact in a physical sense. When I made contact with this thing, it had no response, no reaction.
Amy begins to wonder if the entity is something other than a ghost.
I did not feel I had made a connection with an actual deceased individual. It was nothing but energy.
If you experience anything that causes you fear, I want you to repeat the blessings with the holy water and tell the spirit to leave. Okay? I'm serious. Even if you have to yell at it and say, I don't want you here anymore. Be serious. Okay? That should help you out. All right, you'll be fine.
All of a sudden, I felt really like I was gonna be sick. I'd never felt so horrible. I said, that's it. I went back in there finally and I said, I am not gonna let you intimidate me. I'm not gonna let you scare me in my house anymore. I need you to go. I need you to leave.
Romy calls Amy Allen for help. In the midst of a haunted house investigation, a dark entity appears in the home of paranormal investigator Amy Allen.
Get out of my house.
She recognizes the entity as Romy's tormentor.
Hello? Amy, it's Romy. It's back. The man in black.
No, Romy, you sent it to me.
Amy, what are you saying? What are you talking about?
She said, you sent that man in black to my house.
Amy suddenly realizes something quite extraordinary. The dark entity is not a ghost at all. poltergeist. Something Romy has unknowingly manifested herself.
It was like a huge puzzle, and I had all these facts, and I'm like, it's Romy. The haunting was coming from Romy herself, and she was projecting it out into our physical reality.
It's inside of you.
Amy concludes that Romy possesses psychokinetic or PK abilities. She's created a physical embodiment of her own anxieties.
Anger, depression, anxiety, guilt, remorse.
What that means is it's not a ghost living in the outside world. This is the most extreme type of poltergeist haunting.
Romy, because she's in charge of the family, couldn't allow herself to really experience these emotions.
This entity is inside of you.
What she ended up doing, without her even consciously being aware of this, was to project her emotions out. This consciousness took on its own dynamic force.
It's almost like I'm beating my own self up, technically. I was frightening my children that I wanted to protect. I was protecting them from me, and at the same time, I was scaring them. I was the one that was tormenting them, and myself also. I call it my curse.
Today, Romy and her family live in relative calm. But they still occasionally struggle with both the spirits that haunt their home and the poltergeist that torments Romy.
I would like to control this in a way where I could do good and not evil. But it seems kind of hard for me to do that if, in fact, I have the ability to torture even my own self.
If she doesn't deal with her abilities and get a handle on her energy and all of these things, it could come back as it was before, or even worse.
It really is a curse to me.
One thing I found in common with all PK manifestations is that the person needs to have counseling, some type of therapy where they can vent their emotions in a safe, positive space with someone who's not going to judge them or be upset with them, where they can literally unleash all of these emotions that they've kept repressed. So therapy is consistently a recommendation in these cases.
In this world, there is real evil. In the darkest shadows and in the most ordinary places. These are the true stories of the innocent and the unimaginable. Ron and Nancy Stallings believe they have found the perfect house until a sinister spirit attacks from beyond the grave. Paranormal researchers try to bring peace to the family and to the dead trapped in the land. The Stallings realize if they don't get out soon, they won't get out at all. Between the world we see and the things we fear, there are doors. When they are opened, nightmares become reality. Ron Stallings and Nancy Simicott are looking for a new home. They will be married in less than a week. With her marriage quickly approaching, Nancy attributes her nightmare to nerves.
This is so exciting.
Well, for one thing, I do want a garage. I want a yard large enough.
Ron and Nancy had been married for less than a month when they actually begin looking for a house to buy.
We had 6 children the day we got married. Some were his, some were mine, both from previous marriages. And we needed a large house that would accommodate everyone. And like most young couples, we didn't have a lot of money. The first time that we saw the house, I thought it was a great bargain.
The owner is an old woman whose son is selling the property. The house had been built in the 1920s. It is a spacious, charming fixer-upper, looking nothing like the house from Nancy's nightmare. And remarkably, it is well within their price range. The house has been empty for a year. It needs new paint, wallpaper, repairs. But to Ron and Nancy, it's perfect. They buy the house. Then, just before leaving,
I hope you're good fighters.
For Ron and Nancy, the remark is unsettling.
That's a strange thing to say. I got bad neighbors or what? And I didn't know what he was talking about.
Within 2 months, the family moves in.
What do you think? It's great.
Alan Simicott is one of Nancy Stallings' children from her first marriage.
My stepfather had children of his own, and there was kids with my mother, and when they got married, it was almost like the Brady Bunch. It was big, a lot bigger than any house I was used to. Other than that, it just seemed like a normal house. It was just old.
For the newly blended family, moving day offers hope and the promise of new beginnings.
You got your rooms?
Get more stuff, bring in the house, we can move in.
Do you like it?
I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it.
The basement was real dreary and Kind of had a real creepy feeling to it. Like something happened there. Like something might happen there again. I didn't care for the basement at all. I mean, from the first day, I never liked the basement.
I decided I would open some windows. At first I thought they were painted shut. I couldn't get them open. Why? The people had nailed the windows shut with big nails.
It soon becomes clear something is not right with this house.
Hey, whoa, guys, walking legs in the house, you know better.
Faucets would turn off and on. I didn't understand how that could happen. We figured it must be because it's an old house.
Ready finished? Yeah. All right, great. You want to go out and play? And Alec, your chin up on the table, all right, sweetie?
Within a month, the family settles into a comfortable routine.
All of a sudden the dishes move. I mean, not just like one or two dishes falling over in the strainer, the whole strainer moved across the counter. And we just kind of looked at each other like, did that really happen?
Not wanting to alarm the others, Nancy keeps the incident to herself. But her son cannot get it out of his mind.
I was freaked out, and it still freaks me out.
Summer turns to fall. The days grow shorter, the nights longer. Alan and his younger brother share a bedroom.
I would lay there at night, I would hear heavy footsteps, like heavy boots. I could hear them come up the steps. I knew it wasn't my parents. And I was terrified.
Nancy Stallings.
Oh, welcome to the neighborhood.
Thank you so much.
How do you like it?
You know, we're moving in slowly, getting there.
That's good. Glad to have you here. You know the old lady that used to live here?
And she says, that crazy old lady that lived in that house thought that someone was getting in, moving her stuff and taking her stuff. And she had her son nail those windows shut.
I'm glad to have you.
I said to Ron, I wonder why she thought someone was taking her things.
The shocking answer will come all too soon. In the fall of 1965, Ron and Nancy Stallings are settling into their new home in Baltimore. But their eldest son, Alan, knows that something is strange about the house. As weeks pass without incident, Nancy's concerns drift away. Friends and relatives come to visit, happy for Ron and Nancy's apparent good fortune.
Hey, Ron, how you doing? Good to see you, Bill. Come on in, Bob.
My cousin, Bill, who was a lawyer, came to see our new house.
Wow, this is beautiful. Isn't it? You want to take a tour?
And he wanted to see upstairs. So he got halfway up the stairs. And he got a really strange look on his face.
Excuse me.
What's wrong?
And he said, I don't have time now.
I forgot about it.
I said, what do you got to be going in such a hurry for, Bill? He says, oh, I got to get to court. I just got to get to court.
Bill later explains that he was overwhelmed by a sudden feeling of dread. It will be months before he comes back. One night in October. Nancy has the distinct feeling that someone is watching her.
Mom, I think I hear something.
Hoping to make sense of the inexplicable events in his house, Ron turns to his uncle.
My uncle was a priest, and I knew he knew a lot about that subject.
How can I help?
I told him the story, and I thought, he don't believe me. What am I going to do now? He's not going to help me.
We have things that move in the house.
Ron can hardly believe the story himself.
Something very angry.
I didn't believe you lived after when you died. I believed when you died, that was the end.
Whatever we need.
And I said, can you come over my house and bless it, maybe? He said, yeah. I said, well, when? He said, about 2 weeks. I said, I can't wait 2 weeks.
I don't know where else.
So he said, all right, I'll come this afternoon.
And Alan? In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
We actually had Mass in the house, like a regular Catholic service. And I was glad that we were doing something about it.
The priest blesses the entire house, room by room.
I was hoping that it would take care of the problem.
It was like a big question mark. Will this work? Will it not work? And that night, everything was real quiet. And I thought, well, gee, maybe it did work. Maybe that was the answer. But then it started with a vengeance. We heard a ruckus out on the porch. It was loud. A tricycle was just riding down the porch and back by itself.
Ron suddenly realizes that the priest had never blessed the porch.
Where to get a crucifix? I'm gonna take care of the porch.
I didn't know what was happening.
I grabbed the crucifix, thinking that was the answer. And it stopped.
Terrified, the family immediately leaves the house. With nowhere else to go, Ron takes his family to his father's cabin about an hour outside of Baltimore. The cabin has only one room, too small to accommodate such a large family. It's also a considerable distance from the children's school and Ron's workplace. He knows it is impractical to stay there for very long.
I thought they could get enough nerve to come back again and hope it stopped.
Ron feels like he has no choice. They will have to go back. The Stallings are prisoners in their new home. Financially, they are trapped. They have 6 children and 1 on the way.
We wanted to move, but we had all of our money tied up in that house. And with children, you can't just move.
Well, things would go almost in cycles where for a week or 2, things would happen like every day. And then it might not happen for a couple of months.
For several months, the disturbances died down and Nancy hopes for the best. In 1967, she gives birth to a son. Her first child with Ron. Nancy hopes that she can sleep more peacefully in the hospital than she has at home.
The atmosphere in the room changed.
Who's there?
I kept feeling like someone was in the room.
Who's there?
Nancy, what are you doing out of bed?
I was a little cold.
I'll get you a blanket.
Nancy now realizes that whatever has been haunting her house can follow her anywhere.
The next day, when I was getting home from the hospital, I was a nervous wreck. I was waiting for any minute that something horrible would happen.
Hey, kids. How are you?
Who's your new sister?
Let's go inside, maybe.
Somebody grabbed me from behind and literally like heaved me down the steps.
Fortunately, he only had a few scrapes and bruises.
The nighttime just made it worse. There was really no place to go. I dreaded if I woke up in the middle of the night and had to use a bathroom or anything like that. First reaction, somebody's breaking into the house. The hair on your arms would stand up. I kind of wanted to look. I really was afraid of what I might see. And I finally got up enough courage just to take like a slightest peek. But then I heard the footsteps go back out. And I was scared to death.
Alan can no longer remain silent. He tells his parents about the footsteps.
I just don't know what we can do about this.
I felt so hopeless. How do you fight something that's not alive and you can't really grab it, but it can push you?
it's your fault. I didn't say it was your fault. I'm not blaming you. I mean, I just don't know what to do.
You woke up the baby. Are you happy now?
We were frustrated. We didn't know what to do or where to turn.
Ron and Nancy decide to put their house on the market.
You told me that they know a report.
Still, they're desperate to find a short-term solution.
We can talk to them and at least find somebody that can help us.
I made the mistake of telling a fellow I work with about these strange things that were happening. And he said, "Hey, I can get you help through the newspaper." So I said, all right, if he wants to see it, and that's the only way I get help, then I'll do it that way, but I don't want no story in the paper.
Now, if you could just tell me a little bit more about this.
So sure enough, the man came.
Please remember, we don't want our names to be in the paper.
Not a problem. I will not put address at all.
The reporter seems sympathetic.
More the facts. I need some hard evidence. What
things move?
Toys.
Toys, specifically toys.
He promises to find them an expert.
Was pushed down the stairs, our son.
Someone with experience dealing with the paranormal.
And you know what? That's everything I need. I can give him that.
But Ron and Nancy have placed their hopes in the hands of the wrong man. A local reporter publishes a story about the strange events at Ron and Nancy Stallings' house. They are shocked and angry. So are their neighbors, who worry about falling property values. And prospective buyers who suddenly stop calling.
The neighbors were pretty bad. They ridiculed us, and we put up with a lot of harassment.
Nobody believed in ghosts, supposedly, but nobody wanted to buy it either. So we were stuck there.
Another nightmare?
Yes. I had this dream several nights in a row. It wasn't an ordinary dream. It was like an experience. About the third time I had the dream, I began to smell gas in the house.
Maybe the gas leak somewhere.
And I told Ron, I said, something smells like gas.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it's pretty strong.
He looked, and he said, everything looks fine.
Sure.
To be safe, Nancy calls the gas company.
They said they'd be out right away and to open all of the windows.
problem?
Oh, I found a problem.
He checked the pipes, and there was one connection that was really loose.
Blow it any second.
Blow the pipe?
No, the whole house.
The gas leak was so bad that the house was a bomb.
Unwilling to remain a victim, Nancy reads up on the study of ghosts and paranormal phenomena. One book in particular catches her eye. It is written by Hans Holzer, an expert from Austria.
In the book, he talked about getting rid of ghosts, and he had an address where he could be contacted.
Nancy sends him a letter. Months pass with no word from Holzer. As Nancy struggles to make sense of her dreams.
I kept telling myself, maybe it's not a threatening thing. Maybe she was trying to warn us that the gas man who installed the furnace had left this pipe undone. But somehow I didn't think that she was. It was just a horrible feeling.
Guten Tag. I'm Hans Holzer. This is my associate.
Finally, Hans Holzer arrives, accompanied by a trance medium.
You cannot investigate hauntings and ghosts by just going around with Geiger counters and other technical equipment and wait for things to happen. You must use a trance medium, a human trance medium. Nothing happens without it. Everything else is useless.
The trance medium has the ability to permit spirits to communicate through her. Holzer has worked with her for several years.
I was curious to see if they were going to be able to do anything because the blessing didn't work.
Holzer feels certain that he and the medium can contact the spirits haunting the Stallings house.
Well, perhaps we should begin.
But not knowing their true nature, he has no idea if it's possible to force them out. For nearly a year, spirits have haunted the Stallings family. With the help of a trance medium, Dr. Hans Holzer will attempt to contact them, then try to force them out of the house. The medium senses an unnatural presence.
She was saying there were several different entities there in the house. And the spirits would actually talk through this woman.
It's what we would call dissociation of personality. A deep trance medium has the ability to move out of their body and let somebody else get in temporarily.
It is Holzer's job to then communicate with the lost soul. The medium detects a mysterious confluence of energy.
She feels something.
has a name. Louis Fontanille. It means nothing to Ron and Nancy.
She asked him what he was doing there, and he said that he was waiting for supplies to come in on the Constellation in the Baltimore harbor, and they were there to protect the city.
This is Civil War territory, just at the border, where the North and the South met. And there was anger, a lot of anger in that area.
Holzer suspects their ghost to be a soldier from the Civil War.
Keeps watch at night, wandering. Somehow he's trapped between life and death.
It seems impossible to Ron and Nancy, as the house was only built in the 1920s.
We were told that it didn't have anything to do with the house itself. You could have a brand new house that was basically tied to the property, not the house.
They live in the land. And if there's now another house, they don't see that. They see what they remember.
Suddenly, the medium detects another presence. She slips into a trance and begins to make contact with a woman. The woman is angry. The medium senses a name. Kittinger.
She asked this lady, why are you doing this to these people? And she said, well, these are my servants, and they're insolent. They don't listen to what I'm telling them to do. She thought that she still owned the house.
The only problem we have with ghosts is they don't know exactly what they are. They die and don't know they're dead, and they don't know what happened to them, and they're confused.
There's no question here, but that you already...
Later that evening, Holzer delivers his prognosis. Holzer believes Nancy to be psychic and that her dreams are not nightmares, but psychic communications from the world beyond the grave.
The problem was that you had a medium in the house, living in the house, and that's Nancy. And as long as there's a psychic living there, they will get energy from that and stay.
You see, Nancy?
We had opposing forces in the house. One was evil, and some were benevolent.
Nancy believes that the Civil War soldier Louis Fontanille is protecting her family from the malevolent ghost of the old woman.
And in this case, what I believe is happening.
She was close to being insane. As far as she was concerned, we were intruders, and she wanted us out of there.
From one life to another.
Holzer and the medium decide they must contact the spirits and convince them to cross over to the afterlife.
Past from one life to another. I can help you.
You know, I just didn't know. I didn't know what to think.
Days later, the house remains quiet.
It was the
Nancy's cousin Bill becomes intrigued by everything he's hearing about the haunting.
Seems a little while. Thank you.
Really?
Yeah.
They were fantastic.
He admits he'd always felt uncomfortable in the house.
He wanted to see if any of these names actually turned up, or if it was all just something that was made up.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll go down the hall.
Bill decides to research the names and details given by the medium. He goes to the Hall of Records in Annapolis.
And the more he tried to prove these things to be untrue, the more they jive with what this lady was saying.
He finds a listing for a Lieutenant Fontenille, an officer in the Union Army. He was killed in a skirmish at an inn that once stood on the Stallings property. In records dating back even further to 1787, he uncovers another name, Eileen Kittinger. He wonders if this is the old woman from Nancy's nightmares. Bill discovers that another home stood on the same piece of property where the Stallings house is now, built in the 1700s. Sifting through tax records, deeds, and ancient maps, Bill notices a disturbing trend, a shocking revelation that even the medium failed to detect. And for the Stallings family, it could mean the difference between life and death. Bill returns from the Hall of Records with a shocking discovery. Records showed that every family who ever lived on that land had at least one person die before they moved.
Each owner? Each one?
I was really afraid that one of us, a member of our family, that something would happen to them, before we got out.
After months of trying to sell the house, Ron and Nancy finally find a buyer. They even express interest in ghosts.
What's with the crucifix?
The rumors of a haunted house seemed to them a selling point.
That's great.
I was just so relieved that we were finally getting out of that house. I couldn't wait. I was just praying that nothing happened between then and the time we actually moved out.
Lewis came to me and he said, "Don't ever come back into this house, because when you leave, I'm leaving, and I won't be there to protect you, and you won't be safe." And that was good enough for me.
I couldn't have been happier than I was that day. It was a wonderful feeling to be able to know I was finally free.
The Stallings cannot depart fast enough. They leave even before the movers come to pack up their furniture.
There is absolutely no doubt in my mind that there is some type of life after death, and some type of spirit, some kind of presence there.
Just before the family departs, Nancy recalls an item she left in the bedroom.
What? Where are you going?
Just take a second. I'll be right back.
on. When we left that house, I can't even describe how good I felt.
Let's go.
We had made it through that terrible experience, and now we would be able to live a normal life.
For the Stallings family, the nightmare is finally over. But what terrible fate lies ahead for the new owners? No one, not even Dr. Holzer, can predict with any certainty whether the haunting will ever stop. In this world, there is real evil. In the darkest shadows and in the most ordinary places. These are the true stories of the innocent and the unimaginable. Al and Kelly are building a life together. But they find themselves in the shadows of a grim past. Death lurks around every corner. And Al uncovers a long-forgotten tragedy. The killer returns from the grave to tear the family apart. Between the world we see and the things we fear, there are doors. When they are opened, nightmares become reality. In the Canadian city of Montreal in the fall of 1996, single mother Kelly Fontaine and her 6-year-old daughter Haley fantasize about living in a big house.
Yep, okay. 1, 2, 3.
We would walk along and, pick a street, and she'd pick her favorite house and I'd pick my favorite house. That was kind of a game we always played.
Out of concern for her family, Kelly agreed to be interviewed only on the condition of anonymity.
We both seemed to like this house, where every other street I would like one and she'd like a different one. I guess that's why this game came about, because we always dreamed of living in a nice house.
Someday we are going to have a house just like this.
For more than a year, Kelly has been dating construction supervisor Al Goodwin.
We seemed to just connect really well, and there was never anything we couldn't talk about. It was great.
Al says he's found the ideal house for them to live in together. In an odd coincidence, it's the same house that Kelly and her daughter had both picked a few days earlier.
You know that old place on Sycamore?
That's our favorite. Oh my gosh, we love that house.
Well, then it's perfect.
When we found out it was this house, we were just so excited about it.
So we thought this is the place we were going to be very, very happy there for a long time.
Wow, I love the yellow. It's great.
Sure did.
Before moving in, Al and Kelly have the rooms repainted.
When we have a baby.
They begin planning how to decorate the nursery.
Baby's changing table.
Our dream was to start another family, to give Haley a brother or sister and have another baby. And everything just seemed so like it was going wonderful for us.
Did you hear that?
Yeah. Let's check it out.
We heard somebody coming up the stairs. was nobody there.
Maybe it was nothing.
We looked all around and didn't see anyone or anything, and we just kind of said, well, it's an old house. Maybe there's going to be noises we have to get used to.
I guess I did.
Check over here.
A few weeks later, Al is at work and Haley is at school.
Hello?
Kelly gets a call from her doctor.
Are you sure?
She's pregnant.
Oh. That's great news. Yeah, okay.
I was just tidying up. I heard footsteps in the same room as me. And I thought, okay, I'm not going to overreact. I just kind of pretended it didn't happen and carried on with what I was doing.
That evening, Kelly breaks the news to Al.
I'm pregnant.
She also tells him about the eerie footsteps.
And I didn't want to make it like I was this nervous wreck kind of person. And our relationship living together was still so new that I didn't want to sound like I was crazy.
I mean, there's nobody there. I just hear footsteps.
I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it.
Maybe it's somebody walking outside.
Yeah, maybe.
Then I thought, yeah, there's something going on here.
Knowing there are no intruders in the house, Al calls a friend, Richard Paul Musono, who works as a paranormal researcher in his spare time. Al believes Richard is the ideal person to resolve the mystery of the phantom footsteps.
They were very worried. They just signed a lease for a new place. They had a small child. They were concerned they were getting into something they shouldn't be getting into.
Al argues that there is probably a simple explanation for the sounds.
He was sort of hoping that it wasn't paranormal. He wanted to have some reasonable explanation for what was going on. I've investigated phenomena where it was just mice or, the house settling.
Record the sounds. Then we can identify the cause.
Richard suggests trying to record the sounds in the house when it is empty.
That's good.
Richard thinks the spirit is attracted to Kelly.
Oh, I don't know.
He believes she should be the one to turn on the recorder.
So therefore,
Whatever seemed to be in the house seemed to have a closeness to her.
The next day, Kelly prepares to leave to pick up her daughter Haley from school.
I'm leaving now.
I deliberately walked with heavy footsteps down the stairs. And I slammed the door so that anything that happened past that point of the door slamming, they would know wasn't me.
and Richard get off work, they retrieve the tape recorder.
I did not touch the tape recorder. I did not rewind it. I didn't want to be the one to find out whether there was anything on it or not.
I'm leaving now.
What they hear on the tape takes them all by surprise.
You could hear a tinkling that sounded like a charm bracelet. And then the footsteps stopped. It was almost not even a human sound. It was awful. It was just awful.
I looked at Al, and I didn't need to tell him he had something in that house. He already knew from the tape there was something unseen roaming that house.
Al replays the eerie recording. Paranormal researcher Richard Palmisano.
You hear footsteps coming down the stairs, as if bare feet. And you can hear bracelets jingling. Then there's a sigh, and the sigh is almost like abandonment of a child.
It was actually very overwhelming to think that, you have a spirit in your house, and now you have no choice but to believe in something that you never believed in before.
Who do you think it is?
It definitely sounds female to me.
I bet it was the
Al tells Richard that he had met the house's previous occupants, a woman and her 15-year-old daughter.
I heard she loved the house.
He says that the daughter wore a charm bracelet, and he thinks that the voice on the tape sounds like her.
Here's what I heard.
Both the mother and daughter were forcibly evicted for failure to pay rent. Al says the mother was a drug abuser who dressed provocatively and hung out in bars. Her many lovers and unpaid bills made life difficult for her daughter. Al says he heard that after moving to an apartment, the mother continued to frequent bars.
Stay home and out of trouble.
I knew the mother, and she wasn't a very good person.
Don't wait up and stay out of trouble.
She was into a lot of drugs.
The 15-year-old girl became increasingly desperate about her mother's destructive behavior. Decided that death was not the right answer and called 911.
I need some help.
But the ambulance arrived too late to save her.
I don't think she was really trying to kill herself. I mean, otherwise,
It seemed like it was a cry for help and not that she really wanted to kill herself. It seemed like she was trying to get her mother's attention.
I think you're right. So
We kind of put two and two together. And the three of us believe the girl had come back to the house, seeking her mother and most likely following Kelly around as a mother image.
Al just kind of really got curious about it. I was a bit curious, but I was much more afraid than I was curious.
During the days and nights that follow, whenever the house is empty, Al and Richard leave tape recorders running.
And when no one's around and the house is quiet, they'll talk. They'll do things.
You could hear a phone ringing and her answering the phone, and you could hear her side of the conversation.
I
It was completely obvious it was this girl.
Richard returns one Saturday night to investigate further. Kelly arranges for Haley to stay with friends to keep her from being frightened by the men's activities. Al and Richard set up their equipment in key locations around the house.
We were running video upstairs. We had tape recorders recording upstairs. We had tape recorders downstairs operating.
I'm glad you could come over. Oh, for sure.
Richard's wife arrives to keep Kelly company.
I'm gonna go get the coffee, and if you don't mind, the cards are in the closet. All right.
They decide to play cards.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Your closet is freezing cold. It was really strange that the closet would be cold because on the other side of the wall there was a hot water heater and the pipe went through that closet and that closet was always hot.
Hey, we decided we were going to play some bridge.
Okay.
You deal first.
Very nice.
Al and Richard are eager to listen to the tapes.
What's wrong? And something hit me. My entire body was just tingling. I couldn't see, my eyes were watering. I was disoriented.
And I said, "What's wrong?" And he said, "It's like something ran through me."
Can I get you something? Some water, an aspirin, anything?
No, it's all right. It's all right. Let's listen.
Sheriff, what's on?
Come back here. Don't you turn your back on me. I will get you.
It's like something just went right through me. You okay? Oh, man.
Now, there was only Al and I upstairs, so where this voice came from, I don't know.
Come back here. Don't you turn your back on me. I will get you.
I got scared.
It's like something just went right through me. You okay?
Who is this guy?
But what frightens Kelly only makes Al more determined to solve the mystery.
I think we gotta keep investigating.
Who's this guy now that says he's either going to get us or the little girl?
This door has no habit of opening by itself.
Al.
Kelly and Richard's wife, they said that's enough. We're not staying here tonight. It was that bad. Everybody was just too scared.
Al, Kelly, Richard, and his wife returned to the haunted house after a frightening experience the night before.
I don't know, I just...
Kelly remains unnerved.
Richard and I'll check it out first.
I was too afraid at that point to learn any more that was going on.
Al and Richard venture into the house to face the unknown. The two men find nothing unusual until they go to the second floor.
We went through the house, upstairs, only to find all these black skid marks throughout the rooms.
It certainly would explain how loud it was last night.
The only thing I can reason is Some other entity, some male entity in this house was chasing this girl, and she was trying to get away.
We believe she's
They tell the women what they've found.
by a male entity.
Richard believes they need to help the girl cross over to the next world.
We need to help her cross over.
I felt an obligation to try to help her. Why I really felt like that, I really don't know, because I was very afraid.
Kelly and Al agree to try to help the girl. They hope that it will give them back their home.
We could probably help.
I thought maybe once this girl was on her way, everything would be okay.
And we'll get our house back.
Richard promises to find a medium who can help. Kelly, anxious to preserve her relationship with Al, reluctantly agrees to continue living in the house. A few days later, Richard brings a medium to the house. She has helped hundreds of spirits cross over.
I think I'm gonna go.
I was pregnant at the time, and I said, you know, will something bad happen?
You need to be here, okay? Don't worry, we're gonna say a prayer for you and protect you.
And she said no, that she thought it was very important for me to be there and be part of this. We all joined hands and she prayed for our safety. She really seemed like she knew what she was doing.
Amen.
Amen.
Let's be seated. I need you to be as quiet as possible when you say the movements.
She kind of went into a trance.
Hi, honey.
She was having a conversation with this young girl and telling her that she wasn't supposed to be here and stay here, that she needed to go on her way.
You need to cross over now. It's all right, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. I know it's... You need to cross over now, and you need to follow the light, and I'm here to help you. It's okay. Don't be afraid, all right?
Suddenly, the medium flinches.
There's a negative entity that just entered the room.
This dark entity showed up, trying to coax the girl to stay.
The medium urges them both to cross over.
Why would you let her go?
She started arguing with the male spirit, telling him to leave the girl alone.
I command you in the name of God to let her go! Fine. Then you just rot.
Then she yelled at this male spirit to go rot in his own hell.
She's gone.
She did assure us that the girl had gone on her way, but she said the male spirit, he is not going anywhere.
I don't think you're gonna get him to leave.
And he's not the only one here. And I was just, I felt kind of crushed at that point.
Kelly wanted out. Al wanted to know more.
This is John, the clairvoyant I told you.
A few weeks later, Richard invites a clairvoyant to see if he can help.
Let me give you a little bit of background. I've had this ability to sense spirits since
The clairvoyant, John, has been able to sense the presence of spirits since childhood.
buildings such as this. This will help.
He has communicated with the dead in more than 1,000 readings.
Hierarchy of ghosts.
Pendulum is an instrument I've used for years.
I hold it like this.
Some people refer to it as a dowsing tool. There's a sense or feeling through your hand, almost like a current of electricity.
From the spirit world. It's an ancient method that goes to
Pendulums have been employed for millennia to detect imperceptible vibrations and often to communicate with spirits. John explains that he asks questions and that the spirits move the pendulum clockwise for yes and counterclockwise for no.
I've had it moving so strongly that I've had to actually hold on. It would have flown out of my hand.
I'm ready when you are. Is there a spirit here who would like to communicate?
I did get a positive response.
Are you a male spirit?
The pendulum indicated a very strong yes.
Yes. Can you tell me about it?
And then all of a sudden, boom, fear would come right through me.
Whoever was speaking to us is now terrified. Not tonight, he's killed him.
John tells them that the dark entity has silenced the other spirits.
We can try again.
I think that just completely sparked Al's and Richard's curiosity, and they just wanted to continue and do as much investigating as possible to find out what was going on and how we could change it.
A few nights later, John returns for another try.
I usually run equipment at the same time, and then afterwards I would review the tape, and then I would hear the other side of the conversation.
Is there a spirit here who wishes to communicate? Do you know the name
The
of the dark
clairvoyant
spirit
tries to find out more about the dark entity.
I specifically remember asking, does he have a name? Do you know his name? And the answer clearly was, and this is when the pendulum began to accelerate in its intensity, yes.
Please indicate when I get to the first letter of his name. A, B, C, D, E. Good. First letter is E. Now for the second letter. A, B, C, C. He's here.
That night, what we got on tape was, very clearly,
You didn't tell them my name.
you didn't give them my name, did you?
Did you?
I don't want any part of this anymore.
Kelly finds it terrifying.
We're gonna get rid of this ghost.
No, you can.
I said, I don't want to know anything that's going on anymore because I was just too afraid.
Richard begins researching the history of Al and Kelly's home. He discovers that in the 1930s and 40s, it was home to the hired help for a nearby mansion. He also discovers that the mansion was managed by a man named Edward, the same name heard on the tape. Edward had been appointed to manage the huge estate during World War II.
There are streaks.
What is wrong with you?
He quickly became a brutal tyrant.
I will teach you to obey.
Don't ever touch me!
He was a mean-spirited individual. He would take advantage of the female workers on the property. He thought he was very powerful.
So Richard was doing some research, and he found out there really was an Edward.
Al tries to tell Kelly about their research.
Stop it! I don't want to hear it. Carol, come on.
A few hours later, Kelly finds herself alone in the house.
It seemed like this, whatever it was really trying to scare us now.
He was here again today. I was coming out of the bathroom.
That night, Kelly tells Al what's happened to her.
It was really pretty scary.
The news frustrates him. His desire to put an end to the haunting has begun to drive a wedge between the two of them.
Why don't we just cancel our lease and move out?
Al seemed like he was possessed at times.
And give up our dream home?
I didn't understand what was driving him to want to stay there and get to the bottom of it.
Because I'm going to get our home back. Our life.
Al convinces Kelly that Edward is somehow the key to bringing all the terrifying experiences to an end.
What about Haley?
He promises that while he tries to solve the mystery, he will protect both her and Haley.
Finding out what I need to know.
He reassured me that they were so close to putting the puzzle together and solving it that he was very confident that it would stop.
Okay.
I couldn't really describe why I chose to stay when I should have been out of there.
Did you hear that?
Whenever Al hears an unusual sound, he snaps a photo, hoping to capture images from the spirit world.
Check it out. Here are the pictures I told you about.
Al shows one of the photos to Richard and John.
They do look like babies.
I remember just seeing little infant faces. This is not us imagining this. There's one face, there's a face, there's a face, there's a face, there's a face. But I didn't understand why I saw so much blood. It's like a spiritual orphanage in here. And I remember, thinking, like, well, what would cause this? Why is this?
Well, that's what we got to figure out.
It just pushed us on for more investigations because we wouldn't stop until we found out.
You have a choice. Get out or find out what's going on.
One night, Haley goes downstairs to get a drink of water.
Al?
Her terror makes it difficult for her to talk.
And I saw someone. I thought it was Al, but it wasn't.
I was petrified for my daughter. She was young. She was so innocent.
It's okay, sweetie.
Maybe it could have been a nightmare.
No, I saw him. He was walking towards me.
You know, Haley, sometimes something can seem really real, but it's not.
I don't know whether she just wrote it off, that it was her imagination, or that maybe she hadn't fully woken up. I don't know.
The next morning,
I thought, okay, there's lots of cord still here. I didn't pull it out of the wall. This is strange.
Al, it's me. I need you to come home. No, I need you to come home right now. No, I'm serious. I'm not leaving the bedroom until you get here. Please just come home.
I sat on the bed and I was petrified.
Kelly, it's me! Al, open the door! I searched the whole house. There's no one here and nothing's been moved.
I don't care. This is all your fault. If you and your friends hadn't stirred everything up, it's just getting worse.
That's not true. We're trying to get rid of them.
It started putting a really big strain on our relationship because it was like he was more concerned with the unknown than he was for us.
Kelly.
And I felt very frustrated that he was so into doing this and figuring it all out that he was putting our feelings aside.
More weeks. A few more weeks.
He, again, convinced me that they were just so close to putting this puzzle together and that things were going to change and things would be okay once they figured it out.
It's scary.
Al, Richard, and John decide to only do research outside the house out of respect for Kelly.
I saw that she was very nervous. She didn't want to disturb her household, but at the same time, her household was under attack, and so was she.
John warns Al that evil spirits may be trying to ruin his relationship with Kelly.
And I did say this to Al, be careful with the relationship with your wife, because very often they will do things to get you arguing, to get you fighting, to get you to hurt each other. They feed off that negative energy. They also know that, they break your marriage up, you're leaving. The fact that it manifested solid as it did, I felt it was saying, I know you see me. I don't care. I want you to see me. I want you to get a good look at me.
Al tells the others that he heard that a man living in the old mansion next door had repeatedly seen the dark, ghostly figure in his basement apartment. The man moved out after a section of the floor in his bedroom mysteriously sank.
It's interesting that this figure is showing up in different areas of the property. It doesn't seem that he just shows up in one room of a house. I said, we need to look into it. It's not good.
They decide to investigate.
Tell us what's been happening.
In what used to be an old mansion, 3 men hunt for clues to a haunting.
We basically made a portable Ouija board, for lack of a better term. A, B, C, D, E, and N numbers. We laid this out on the floor, and I used the pendulum. I felt we were going to need more than just yes or no down here.
Everybody ready?
Yeah.
Is there any spirit here who wishes to communicate?
John contacts the spirit of a 19-year-old girl.
I asked the young girl her name. She very clearly spelled out Angela.
How old were you when you died?
John discovers that in 1943, the girl died on the property.
And I asked her, what is it that caused your death? And the word I got was bleed. B-L-E-E-D, bleed.
B-A.
And then,
B-Y.
very clear, my baby.
John learns that she had gone to see a doctor.
Female.
She identifies him as the butcher. The next day, John approaches an expert on local history.
I checked with a professor at the university, and I asked her, can you tell me anything about this name? And she says, oh, there was a very famous abortionist that worked in the local area.
It came up in some of my research.
John develops a theory about what happened at the estate.
The doctor had to flee the U.S. back in the early 40s. And this butler, Edward, saw a beautiful opportunity. They could make a lot of money.
Please stay as long as you want.
Thank you.
I know you don't want to hear about it.
Al tries to tell Kelly about their new theory.
I had a crucifix on my nightstand, and it landed with such force that it broke. I was petrified, and I said, no, this is enough. We have to get out of here. You know, this is insane.
I'm too scared to go to bed at night, and when I do, I can't sleep anyway. We need to get out of here. Together, as a family.
Come on out and face me! Come on!
The shattering of the crucifix frustrates Al.
This isn't gonna help anything, honey. Calm down.
I said, you come out, you face me. Where are you? Come on out. Nothing.
Oh. Oh.
Is this it?
Uh-huh.
Okay, let's go easy.
Okay.
Let's go, come on, easy.
Okay.
Let's go.
Despite the pressures during her pregnancy, Kelly delivers a healthy baby girl. The couple names her Charity. 2 days later, Kelly returns home with her new daughter, unsure of what awaits them. At the former mansion, the three men hunt for information that will help them expel a powerful dark entity.
We would like to speak with Angela. Is Angela here?
John contacts the spirit of a girl who says she died in 1943.
Yes. Can you help us find your body?
He asked the question, well, give us an indication where you're buried. And the pendulum, being on a chain, stood straight out.
This amazes paranormal researcher Richard Polmusano.
Totally defies physics. It boggles my mind. If I had not witnessed it, I probably would not believe it.
Is this where you're buried? Is this it?
Yes, this is where she's buried.
Al, John, and Richard piece together Angela's last hours. She had gone to the estate for an abortion, but the procedure was botched, nearly killing her. Edward and the doctor carried the dying girl to the basement and dug a shallow grave.
He and the doctor dumped her in a hole in the basement. Tossed some large rocks on her to make sure she was dead, and then covered her up. And this 19-year-old is still there. She wants to be released. She wants out of that house.
The nightmare is almost over.
Al has a background in construction. He tells the owner he will tear out the sunken floor for free. The floor has to be replaced anyway, so the owner agrees.
We went about 8 or 9 inches deeper. And we found a flagstone that matched the flagstone around the fireplace, which was in that room.
Guys, it's really late.
The men need more equipment to remove the heavy stones, so they decide to continue in the morning. The next day, the men return to the mansion to continue digging.
Hey, what are you doing?
But the owner has hired workers to repair the floor. They've already poured new concrete.
We got to get this surface done.
We shouldn't have stopped. We should have kept going. I could have been as little as 6 inches away from a startling revelation, and I believe she's still there.
Al and Richard are frustrated that they cannot continue their search. And without hard evidence, they cannot go to the police.
John, what is it?
Yeah, does that feel better, honey?
Meanwhile, Kelly gets Charity ready for her bath.
John, what is it?
Revenge. I think we've made him mad.
John suddenly senses they've deeply angered the dark entity.
Newborn.
Kelly!
We're up here in the nursery, honey.
Kelly!
That bottle just flew across the room. It came this close to hitting her.
It could have really hurt her.
It's okay. Here, now.
I told him that was it.
No, not okay.
What?
I'm taking the girls and I'm gone, or you can come with me if you want.
But I'm leaving. I am not going to stay here. Let anything else.
I think that's when Al thought something bad's gonna happen to her too, and that's when he really finally agreed that yeah, it's time for us to get out of here.
I love you. Let's move.
The family finally moves out, leaving the dark entity in control. But even today, Al wishes he had rescued Angela's bones and laid to rest the mystery behind the haunting.
There's no end for me. I don't think even Kelly knows that. I don't think I could even tell her about that. If I ever found out that I could walk in that house, and I'd probably do it again, just to find out.